And welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for tuning in. Great to be with you. And hope you're having a wonderful day, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. A couple of days ago on the show, we had some folks in here from Celsius, and they were talking about their energy drink products and the whole issue of energy. And I brought up the syndrome. I mentioned it, alluded to it. I think I even discussed it a bit. TATT. TAT. It's an actual syndrome. It became a syndrome. It became popular. It was literally, it started off as sort of, not a joke, but nothing real, tired all the time. Well, it became so prominent and such a robust theme, it's now considered a syndrome. We're going to talk about TATT today, tired all the time. It is one of the variables or one of the factors that just waylays people and disrupts, destroys, disintegrates quality of life. And when you talk to folks, and one of the most common, when I bump into people, one of the most common questions I get is, how can I feel better? How can I have more energy? I can't make it. And it's not so easy to answer. It's complicated. There are any number of factors. So we'll take our time. Everything from hectic schedules to stress to poor diet, unhealthy lifestyle, and all of its various facets and dimensions. As I often say, it usually takes more than one thing to create a problem, and it usually takes more than one thing to fix it. That principle seems to apply to life generally, doesn't it? At least, unless I'm living in some alternate universe and so out of touch with things, but I didn't have to read a journal or a book or a treatise of any sort to figure that out in my lifetime. Neither did you. Yeah, if all problems could be caused by one thing and solved with one thing, we'd be in business. we would work 20 hours a week. We wouldn't have to work 40, and we would probably all be living on the Riviera somewhere. It would be my point. It would be a lot easier, but that's not the way it is. So we have to deal with it. And that's what we like to do around here. We deal with things. You got to deal with it. You got to somehow, some way. One of the things I learned, and you hear me reference my mother all the time because she's my best teacher. She was. One of the things I learned from my mother was she always found a way. In fact, when I wrote her eulogy, that was the theme of the eulogy, finding a way. She always found a way. And that's what we're trying to do. And we need your help in doing that because we have a huge audience with a wealth of knowledge, insight, and brains out there. We invite you to join in and help us out here. Call the show.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255, 877-897-8255. Follow us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Let's Talk Nutrition, where everything is closed captioned, and we stream live there also. I have a question that came in from Caitlin, and it's about muscle cramps.
She an athlete?
Yes.
Okay.
And she gets muscle cramps in her legs at night.
Yeah. She could be dehydrated, number one. Her electrolytes could be off and should probably calcium, magnesium, and the whole constellation of electrolyte, those minerals, and would be well served to get something like Emergen-C, their electrolyte mix, and do 3 packets of that a day. And she needs to hydrate. Do you know what kind of athlete she is or what she does?
Volleyball.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. And then you have fatigue, muscle fatigue, and your break. And, I don't know what her diet is. I don't know anything about her, but that's when people mention that to me, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Dehydrated, electrolytes are all out of whack. That's where you start. She's probably relatively young.
Yeah.
So ask her to consider that.
I definitely will, since she's my daughter. So
okay. I thought. I'm sorry. I love that name, Caitlin. It's such a beautiful name.
Yeah, she was complaining to me the other day about she had muscle cramps when she went to bed at night.
Yeah,
and she lay down.
She's probably dehydrated. She's about 5'8", something like that.
Yeah, 5'6". Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 5'6". Yeah, she needs to be drinking at least a couple of liters of water a day, just water. And I don't know if she's doing caffeine. I don't, all these other things that could be causing her to get dehydrated. I don't know much, but
probably has a normal teenager terrible diet,
and she's not nourished properly. And that would be my first most instinctive thing to do.
That and not ignore me. So, yeah.
Well, you're her. You don't understand, brother. You're her parent. She's supposed to do that.
Oh. It's part of the cycle?
Yes. No, it comes. Yeah, that's just the deal. Not necessarily. TATT, tired all the time. It is a syndrome. It is in the literature. There are articles that focus on it. In fact, there was an article by Krishna and a bunch of other people, can't even pronounce all the names, where they talk about tired all the time, a chronic fatigue syndrome. They tie it to chronic fatigue syndrome. And the lifestyle causes such as improper sleep, where your sleep is disturbed, being under a lot of stress can worsen the syndrome, TATT syndrome. It turns out that insufficient sleep is one of the primary factors that cause people to feel fatigued. And I cannot overstate how prevalent. I don't care what country, what culture, whatever, language, it doesn't make any difference. This issue of fatigue and not having enough energy, everywhere. We are a complicated metabolic machine, and it tries mightily to stay in balance. But left to our own devices, we do things that throw it out of homeostasis and put it in an unbalanced state. And remember, I've said on the show numerous times that one of the primary agendas of your body, it is the agenda. It needs to keep itself energized. In order for it to do that and to do all the things so that all the chemical reactions can take place, and so it can make adenosine triphosphate. But you have to help it out. You have to participate in your own health. Imagine that. Eat right, sleep right, manage stress, do all the things that we talk about around here. And you're saying, who has time for that? Well, sooner or later, you'll make time. When the car breaks down by the side of the road, you realize, I should have taken it. I should have changed the oil. I should have. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. You only got one body.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day. giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Improper dietary habits, insufficient sleep, excess stress, medical condition, terrible relationships, all can contribute to TATT, tired all the time, connected to chronic fatigue syndrome. It's a real syndrome constituted of a constellation of symptoms. Now, there may be some signs too, and I should distinguish between signs and symptoms. Signs are empirical. We can measure them, test them, and so on. Symptoms, not so much. Pain. Your doctor is going to ask you, how much pain are you in? There's no way for them to measure that. Having a headache. Symptoms are subjective. Signs are objective. Right? If you have a broken leg and the bone is sticking out of your leg, that's a sign that the leg is broken. You get a dramatic example, but you get my point. So signs and symptoms are different. Anemia. You could be anemic, have thyroid disease, could be hyper or hypo, thyroid, diabetes, depression,
Sleep apnea, like I had.
Well, you anticipated what I was going to say. That was before that I was going to say chronic fatigue. Then I was going to say sleep apnea. That's on my list.
Yeah.
In an article that I'm reading here.
And I didn't even know I had it until somebody else pointed it out to me.
Did they want to throw you out of the house?
Sort of like you wanted to. Place a nice pillow over my face.
We had to go to a trade show, and they roomed me with this guy. In the middle of the night, I didn't know. I thought there was something wrong with the building. I had to go get another room, man. I couldn't sleep in the same room with this individual.
We were close to Dulles Airport, but you didn't realize it was that close.
I did. My goodness, it's, and some of you suffer from it, or you live with someone, your partner who is suffering from sleep apnea.
I didn't realize it contributes to heart disease.
Heart disease among other health issues. So it is one of the risk factors for fatigue, because your sleep architecture, your sleep is disrupted during the night. Your quality of sleep is horrible. You wake up, you're more tired than when you went to bed. So this is a real issue. We're going to try to address this. And if it's really chronic and it's debilitating you, you need to see your you do need to see your physician. It could, inflammation. It can be one of the consequences of, or implicated in all of this, because it causes pain. Pain will fatigue you. That we know. It's stress. Sometimes a person will go on one of these crazy weight loss crash diets and wonder why they're all flattened out, because they've eliminated the consumption of carbohydrate and they're tired all the time. Eating a high protein diet, eliminating nearly all fat, and then almost all carbs. Not good.
Did I tell you about when at TPD at the Tampa Police Department, they had all these female officers that were going on these crash diets and getting shots and stuff? Mm-hmm. And they finally had to put a memo out saying, no, you can't do that anymore, because they were having a lot of issues with anger. They ended up getting a lot of more of
complaints,
use of force complaints.
Can happen. When under stress, the dominant response will emerge. And, I'm just saying. Differential diagnosis for TATT syndrome could be obstructive sleep apnea. Treatment with drugs, for example, if you're sedatives and whatnot, depression, obesity, and various psychiatric disorders. So this is a serious, and what happens is that many patients they're treated in a dismissive way, even by doctors, because the doctor can't measure the fatigue. And the patient's complaining, saying, I feel like this, I feel like that. They try to describe it, and there is no empirical data to confirm or disconfirm the patient's experience, and they get dismissed. They're treated dismissively. This went on for a long time. Now, It's almost now in vogue to say, I suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome. Well, it wouldn't surprise me nearly what percentage of the population. If 25% of the population suffers from it, I wouldn't be shocked. But now it's a little better, as I understand it. Doctors are more patient with the patient who come in, patients that come in and say, I don't feel good. And they can't find anything wrong with the patient. Well, Bob, there's nothing wrong with you, but I don't feel good. I don't have any energy. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'll be appearing in Temple Terrace this month at the Vitamin Discount Center store on Fowler Avenue. The Vitamin Discount Center store, they're having a health fair there, and I'll be there from 12 to 4. We invite you to attend. There are going to be wonderful vendors there, all kinds of prizes and giveaways, free stuff, the in quotes, free stuff. I'll be there the whole time. I enjoy it. Look forward to meeting everybody. We'll give you more details when we come back. Gary will lay it all out. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast.
The perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit TakeSolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
It's reported in family medicine about 1/5 of family medicine patients will present with fatigue, and about 1/3 of adolescents report suffering from fatigue at least 4 days a week. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. And it is a real health issue. The problem is that it is constituted of symptoms. TATT syndrome, tired all the time syndrome, is made up primarily of symptoms. Well, symptoms are subjective. Now, there could be some signs associated with it. We were able to measure thyroid and whatnot. That's true. And then as a consequence, patients will get dismissed, treated dismissively, say, well, we can't find anything wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Well, I feel like there's something wrong with me, they will insist. I'll bet there's more than a few people listening or watching this show, coast to coast and worldwide, that have had that experience. And the patient gets so frustrated. They feel disrespected. They feel, disconfirmed because they don't feel good. My guest today, Dominique Ostrander, I'm sure in her experience working with rehab patients, cardiac rehab, had that experience with individuals, with patients. I'll bet, and I've never discussed it with her. We'll find out. We'll see if I'm right about that. She's an educator for Jarrow Formulas. Dominique, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Great to have you on.
Thank you very much, Dr. Garko. Good to be back here twice in 1 week. It's good.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, that problem has arisen many times with cardiac patients as well as patients that don't have cardiac issues. So it's definitely prevalent. It's funny because when I can speak firsthand, I suffer from terrible iron deficiency anemia. And so I also would suffer from fatigue and complaining and have the symptoms of pica, which for the listener, those are these sort of odd craving things that you get when you have iron deficiency anemia. And mine manifested in this incredible need for ice, chewing ice all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an interesting...
It's very interesting.
Some people have it where they want to eat dirt. Thankfully, I didn't have that.
Well, given your OCD tendencies, dirt will not. Yes. Mentioning dirt in a sentence for you is not a good idea.
Exactly. Yes, as my friends say, I'm genetically allergic to it. But
genetically allergic. Oh my God! Yeah. You could go to Dominique's house and you don't have to eat on the table. You could eat off the floors. Right. If you drop food on the floor in her house, no worries. The floor is probably cleaner than the table.
Yeah. No, seriously. But anyway, so getting back to that, so I remember when I was first diagnosed. It was a very long time ago, and I remember feeling incredible fatigue. And I remember when I was diagnosed, which was actually, of all places, I was at Mayo Clinic, and they were astounded at I could even do the things that I was doing because I literally had 0 iron stores. My iron was just incredibly low. And I was having these random symptoms, like I would get very dizzy. I would have this incredible need for ice. I was very young at the time, and I just wasn't putting it together that, wow, this could be what's going on or part of the issue. And I think for a lot of young women, more and more, when we're talking about just that particular population, menstruating women that have heavy periods, oftentimes will have some form or varying degree of iron deficiency anemia, as well as, and the reason why I'm saying this, cardiac patients. So a lot of times when cardiac patients, as well as cancer patients, are given IV iron treatments or oral iron treatments, they feel tons better.
Is there any, now I could mention some dietary supplement products from other companies that are geared toward iron. There's one in particular I have in mind, but I would want to offer you the opportunity. Is there anything from Jarrow Formulas that could help with iron? You remember those commercials? Do you suffer from iron deficiency anemia? Remember all that? That,
Oh, yeah.
do you have anything in the arsenal at Jarrow that would address iron deficiency anemia?
We do. We have an iron product. We have an Iron Sorb product, which is very gentle. It's non-constipating, and again, it's supporting oxygen transport. We have our Iron Sorb, and then we have the Iron Sorb plus lactoferrin, and which is again increasing the bioavailability of the iron. The problem that a lot of people face, including myself, is the inability to absorb iron. So, for example, we're a society now that is on chronic use of PPIs, proton pump inhibitors.
Yeah.
And so chronic proton pump inhibitor use prohibits the absorption of many minerals, which is why a lot of times gastroenterologists will be testing for folic acid and B12 levels and iron levels when they've had patients on chronic PPI use. So it's important, if there's a listener out there that they've been on PPIs for a long time. H2 blockers don't really have that problem like the PPIs do. Not to say that they're completely benign, but I think they're a little bit more benign in that area versus a PPI. And H2 blockers, I mean old school, Zantac, Pepcid, Tagamet, those are H2 blockers.
Could you give us the Iron Sorb Plus? Is that the one you were referring with lactoferrin here? Mm-hmm. All right. What was the name of the other product?
It's Iron Sorb.
That's it. Iron Sorb.
Iron Sorb, exactly.
Sorb for absorption. Sorb for absorption.
Exactly.
I gotcha. Okay, because Gary was showing that up on our screen. I see here you got Iron Sorb, lactoferrin. Then there's another product. It just says Iron Sorb.
Right. Exactly. And the Iron Sorb plus lactoferrin is our newest in this category. And again, the lactoferrin really does help increase the absorption of the iron. There are people that just need a low dose iron just to maintain optimum iron levels, because overdosing on iron isn't healthy either. So that's important to keep in mind. So I suggest that you always get your levels checked, your hemoglobin, your hematocrit, all the things as far as your red blood cell count goes, and even your iron stores, like your ferritin.
Yeah, my mom suffered her. We were always struggling with iron issues with her, and I got her on this one particular product. It was not Iron Sorb from Jar. It was a liquid made out of made in Switzerland. The product is fabulous. You would like it too.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know the name of that product?
I do. That actually, because I was diagnosed long before I ever started working for Jarrow.
You can mention it. You can mention it. Jarrow won't get mad.
It was Floradix.
Mm-hmm. Floradix.
That was the one I tried, but I couldn't absorb iron, so it didn't matter how I took it.
TATT. We'll get that eradicated.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Take Hempanol, the only raw
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
TATT, tired all the time. It's an actual syndrome. It's typically tied to chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's real. Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Dominique Ostrander is my guest. And Dominique, you were mentioning iron deficiency. That is certainly one of the underlying causes of fatigue, feeling tired all the time. Also, dehydration and electrolyte imbalance.
With the cramps, Michael was asking about, he said...
Who's Michael?
Michael's a listener. He's listening to the show right now.
And how did he contact us?
Through Facebook. And he says that he immediately stands up when he gets the cramps in his legs, but he gets them at night also.
Right. Now, again, the odds are very good that he's not sufficiently hydrated. He's dehydrated, and he's suffering from an electrolyte imbalance. You want to comment on that, Dominique? That's yet another underlying cause of fatigue, dehydration and electrolyte imbalance.
For sure. It's funny how, especially living in Florida, you only think of dehydration in terms of excess perspiration. You don't necessarily think of dehydration as I'm having a high salt intake diet and I'm not drinking enough fluids. So, which contributes to leg cramps. And so if you're not taking in enough fluids and you're having a diet that's very high in sodium, you're creating a sort of dehydration in and of itself. So, and an electrolyte imbalance. So it's important to then supplement with a good magnesium supplement. Do you remember back in the day they would say quinine? Do you remember that?
Yes.
For leg cramps? The horses.
Tonic water?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't say that anymore. It's a good magnesium supplement usually will help, and if you take it before bed, that usually would ward off any sort of leg cramps. And make sure you're drinking enough water. My rule of thumb is whenever you go to the bathroom and you urinate, your urine should be clear. Very pale yellow at the most color.
Well, sometimes if you're taking supplements, the excess get excreted into the urine and the fecal matter, and the urine will be dark.
True, but then you're still not drinking enough water.
That's probably true. You can go home now.
You got to up the water intake then.
Yeah, up the water intake. You're absolutely right. Electrolytes, in case you forgot from your chemistry class, are those substances when dissolved in water will break down or break up into what are called cations. Those are plus-charged ions, and anions, which are negatively charged ions. We say they ionize. Strong electrolytes ionize 100%, while weak electrolytes ionize only partially, between 1 and 10%. But nevertheless, the electrolytes are these minerals, some of the primary ones, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and so on. And do you have an electrolyte product?
No. No, we have potassium and magnesium, but not something that's, like you would say, electrolytes.
Yeah. Emergen-C is a nice little product. They have an electrolyte that comes in a green packet. And
exactly, we keep that on hand.
You keep that around the house? And,
we do.
And you mix it in water. It tastes pretty decent, That's also a very good. Now, Michael, that fellow that wrote into us on Facebook, he said he has leg cramps as well.
Yes.
I wonder if he has fatigue on top of it.
No, but Rufino added that fatigue could also be adrenal.
It can be your adrenal glands. I mentioned that. Thyroid gland, adrenal glands, adrenal fatigue. That's very popular and trendy these days to talk about that. You know, what's interesting, did you ever have the experience of being treated dismissively when you complained to a physician about, or anybody, about being fatigued, and they just said, there's nothing wrong with you, it's all in your head? Did anybody ever say that to you?
Not in those exact words, but I can tell you that there's been times in the past where, and it's been a while, where I was dismissed as sort of, not the hysterical female, really, to that degree, but sort of like that. And that, that's one of the reasons why women's heart disease for years was underdiagnosed. because they were just like, oh, they were dismissed. They were told, don't worry about it. Oh, it's just, you're tired, you're stressed. They were dismissed. They were the hysterical female.
Mm-hmm. You were going to say, Gary?
I was. It happened to me. I went to my primary care physician and
it was in your head.
Told me I was lazy, actually, and said I needed to start running more. I said I would love to start running more, except by the time I make it to a mile and a half, I'm like dying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing it for years.
See, so this is what happens.
What ended up being wrong?
The sleep apnea.
What was wrong?
Sleep apnea. Suffers from sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's bad.
He struggles with that.
And losing weight is one of. That's like.
Well, that's
not to say that you can't be thin and have sleep apnea, but
yeah,
really truly, when your doctor was telling you to run more, he was saying, Gary, drop some weight.
I was 189 and I was benching 405, and I had a 32-inch waist though, so it was
right. And that's what I'm saying. You can be thin and have sleep apnea.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody thinks it's a fat person's disease. I mean, there was a lady when I was getting my device she weighed 83 pounds. She was in her 50s, and finally her family said, "You've got to do something. You snore like a freight train."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they videotaped her. She didn't believe them. They videotaped her on a phone, and that's how
she found out.
That's how she found out.
877-897-8255. That's toll free, coast to coast, worldwide. You have to call in 813-636-8255. That's a different number. I will be appearing at the Vitamin Discount Center store in Temple Terrace on February the 17th between 12 and 4. I'll be participating in Vitamin Discount Center's health fair.
That's 5006 East Fowler Avenue.
Right. 2-3 doors down from Starbucks, my landmark. Some people look for statues of old generals. I look for landmarks. I look for Starbucks as a landmark. And so, yes, there'll be all sorts of vendors there. I don't know if Miss Clark will be there. She might.
No, we'll actually be out of town for work that weekend, but we are going to have a gift basket to do as a giveaway.
Right, we're going to have there'll be gift baskets there, I'm told, prizes, giveaways, all sorts of goodies. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, right there on Fowler Avenue. Not just on an angle from the Mosey Museum of Science and Industry, that area, Temple Terrace. Nice part of town. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition. Today, the focus is it's all about the energy, trying to counter this tired all the time business. It's real, and if you suffer from it, don't let anybody dismiss you about it. We'll get into it some more. We'll talk about diet, lifestyle, and supplementation to try to moderate it. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Glad you could tune in today, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We try not to take anybody or any affiliate, any person listening or watching the show for granted. We have lots of faults. That's not one of them. We're very grateful. It is an issue that pervades the world. Literally, everybody worldwide experiences fatigue, and sometimes it is of a chronic nature. There are at least 3 different types of fatigue I'll explain in a moment, chronic being one of them. But fatigue is part of the human condition, and it can get complicated. Here's a little question for you, a little quiz question. Do men and women differ in the way they describe fatigue? What do you think?
I would say yes.
They do. And if you had to guess, what do you think men say when they feel fatigued?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking,
you got to clean it up.
You know how men are babies, okay? Men are a little bit more babyish when they get sick or stuff.
They generally say they feel tired, right? I'm so tired. Women tend to express fatigue in terms of depression or anxiety, according to one source that I was reading a couple of articles talking about that, gender differences in the way men and women describe fatigue. That becomes important if you're a clinician and you're trying to determine what's going on with the patient. I'm not a clinician, but I thought I would mention that. There are gender differences in the way men and women describe fatigue. I'll ask my guest today, Dominique Ostrander, if she agrees with that. Men generally just describe it as feeling tired. Women will oftentimes describe it and frame it in terms of depression or anxiety, which is interesting. I've always said women are more complicated psycho-emotionally than men, but maybe that's not true. But I'm just saying.
I think they have the ability to articulate.
I'm saying that as a compliment, not as a negative.
I think most women can articulate what's going on with themselves better than a man can. I mean, a guy is like the other day I cut my thumb, so I wrapped it up with silver biotics and duct tape.
It healed, didn't it?
It did heal. It's amazing.
That duct tape is amazing. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just I can't get over it.
Nevertheless, fatigue can be classified as secondary, physiologic, or chronic. This is an important distinction. Secondary fatigue is caused by an underlying medical condition, and it typically lasts for a month or longer. It's described as secondary fatigue. It's secondary to the medical condition. Then there's physiologic fatigue, where there's an imbalance in could be an imbalance in routines of exercise, sleep, diet, or other factors not caused by an underlying medical condition. Then the experts will characterize fatigue as chronic, where the person experiencing it, this can go on for at least 6 months, and when you're at that stage, it's chronic. I mean, and that's not good. And you should not, and it's not relieved by any amount of sleep or rest. There's something going on, you need to see a physician. So we'll talk about these three types of fatigue. By the way, medications are usually show up at the scene of the crime for fatigue. Sedative, hypnotics, antidepressants, muscle relaxants, opioids, antihypertensive drugs, antihistamines, certain antibiotics will contribute to fatigue. So, and oftentimes, too, to make matters a little bit more obscure and complicated, fatigue can coexist or accompany or be accompanied by depression. And now you have to try to tease out, is it one or the other, or is it both? It could be both. It could be suffering from chronic fatigue and be depressed for one reason or another. So we'll talk about physiologic fatigue. This is initiated by any number of factors: inadequate sleep and rest, some physical effort, a lot of physical effort and stress and strain, mental stress and strain, physical stress and strain, not related to any medical condition. Diet, lifestyle, right? Typically is a way to talk about physiologic fatigue. Many people suffer from that, which can turn into become chronic. As I said, my guest is Dominique Ostrander, educated for Jar of Formulas. Dominique, welcome back. Are there any there are any number of supplements that can contribute, we'll get into that can help with moderating some of the effects of fatigue, like coenzyme Q10 and others that will boost energy levels, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. There are. And we actually have, besides CoQ10, we can talk about ribose, because ribose is
one of my favorites
therapeutically for chronic fatigue. But one of the points I wanted to mention quickly is that I don't know what the statistical number is because I don't remember it, but within 2 years, within 24 months of diagnosis of chronic fatigue and or fibromyalgia, patients reported a traumatic event within 24 months of diagnosis. And so I always found that very interesting because there's such an emotional component involved oftentimes with fatigue that we're feeling, a lot of people I know from talking to a lot of women, they're just fatigued with their life. The way that their children might be misbehaving, their relationship with their husbands, they're emotionally fatigued, and it's showing up as physical exhaustion.
Right. I get it. Stress is an energy drainer, man. Mm-hmm. The fight or flight response, it has to marshal quite a bit of energy to marshal that response. And many times after people experience a traumatic event that is stress-inducing, they will experience fatigue immediately, short-term, and sometimes long-term, as Dominique is suggesting. As you can see, this gets complicated. It's not just about, I need a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. This is far more complex. And, of course, we don't diagnose and treat around here because we just don't. I'm not an MD. I'm a PhD. And if I were an MD, I still wouldn't do it. That's just crazy. You have no labs on the person. You don't know who they are, and you're going to diagnose and treat them. You can talk generally about issues and do it in a consulting form. And that's how we do it here. And you're invited to call. Don't let that run you off or cause you not to share your experiences or ask questions, because we can talk about it and address it in a way that where we're not diagnosing and treating. Here's a number to call.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
By the way, a sedentary lifestyle is one of the major underlying factors for fatigue. Eating alone will not keep a person well. He or she must also take exercise. I'm paraphrasing. That quote is about a couple thousand years old, and it was by Hippocrates.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilomax, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension. Exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Quote, eating alone will not keep a man well. He must also take exercise, close quote. Ignoring the grammatical issues with that statement. It was Hippocrates who said that. And here's another quote. Lack of activity destroys the good condition of every human being, while movement and methodical physical exercise save it and preserve it, close quote. Who do you think said that? Wasn't Richard Simmons. Wasn't the U.S. Attorney General. What am I saying? No Attorney General involved in this.
The Surgeon General.
Thank you very much. No, wasn't that person either. Wasn't the director of the CDC, who just had to resign for investing in tobacco companies. Wasn't her. It was Plato. Lack of activity destroys the good condition of every human being, while movement and methodical physical exercise save it and preserve it, close quote. He was a philosopher, and he figured it out. He didn't major in exercise physiology, Dominique, but he knew, right? Did I lose her?
Oh, there you go. My phone cut out there for a second. Yes, you couldn't hear me. Plato, yes, exactly. He knew. I think a lot of the early philosophers knew exactly how to take care of our bodies.
For sure. So that is one of the underlying, it's a sedentary lifestyle. But people say, well, I don't have enough energy to exercise. Well, you need to exercise maybe to boost to feel better. Got to give it a try. But nevertheless, you alluded to a couple of supplements. The ones that come immediately to mind that might help with energy levels: B vitamins, electrolytes, CoQ10, ribose, right? Those would
absolutely.
Let's talk about ribose. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Let's talk about ribose. So it is actually one of mine too. So ribose is used with more progressive type of physicians in the therapeutic treatment for chronic fatigue and supporting energy levels because, or like CoQ10, it increases ATP production in the cell. Jarrow Formula's ribose is made by microbial fermentation, and it's also protected by 4 U.S. patents. So anytime a product is patented, there are 2 things that means. It has integrity of product, and it has proven efficacy on both parts.
Mm-hmm. And it comes in a powdered form, Jarrow, as well as in a what?
It's a chewable. It comes in a chewable. I prefer the powder. The powder is just 100% straight D-ribose, where the chewable does have xylitol in it, which, not to say that xylitol is dangerous, but for those people with any sort of bowel issues, xylitol can be a little aggravating.
Yeah.
Even in ribose in high amounts, even just the powder could act like a mild stool softener. Nothing terrible, not causing diarrhea or anything, but in high doses, that can be seen. We're talking, 10,000 milligrams.
Wow, that's a lot, man. Some doctors, cardiologists, use ribose in treating their cardiac patients. Why is that?
Exactly. To increase ATP production in the cell.
Oh, there's our friend ATP again, adenosine triphosphate. Yeah. What is the name of a doctor that used to come on to the show that you're...
Sinatra.
Dr. Sinatra. He can't sing, but he's like can't sing like Frank, but he knows a thing or two about cardiac health, and he recommends ribose. He has 3 other compounds that he thinks contribute to heart health. I think also contribute to energy levels.
I agree. So he calls them the awesome foursome. So they're ribose, carnitine, magnesium, and CoQ10.
Those 4 are awesome. Let's repeat them. Ribose, L-carnitine. Go ahead.
Magnesium and CoQ10.
Yeah. Those 4 are they are awesome. In his book, a couple of the books that he's written, he mentions those. He also mentions the newer rendition for L-carnitine. Yes.
Exactly. So there are different forms of carnitine. So there are carnitine tartrates, fumarates. And your favorite, GPLC, the glycine propionyl L-carnitine. And then there's a carnitine that, like an acetyl L-carnitine, which is more for cognitive function. So we want to be careful about our distinction, but he's referring to a carnitine fumarate or a carnitine tartrate in that particular form.
Glycine propionyl L-carnitine is one of my all-time favorites. I take it right before a workout. I take 2 tablets along with my pre and intra workout drink. I've taken it for years, and man, it works. It definitely works. I love GPLC. Yeah. So listen, magnesium, CoQ10, GPLC, ribose. Those in combination can boost energy levels. You will feel a difference. You will get a lift from that. Not an Uber, but a lift. Yeah, never mind.
I got it. I got you. I'm looking at you.
We needed a drum roll after that. We needed a ba-dum-bum.
That's on the other side of the room. But are those aminos and not are minerals?
Okay. So L-carnitine is an amino acid. Magnesium is a mineral. CoQ10 is not either. GPLC is a mixture of compounds here. So you got minerals and amino acid here implicated, CoQ10, GPLC, and ribose. We'll come back. I'll be more specific. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition, boosting the energy to fight TATT.
The ever-increasing stress.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
things that people dread: being in pain and being fatigued. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. And we're talking about trying to deal with this issue of fatigue. And it can get complicated, as we've been explaining throughout the show. So if you're trying to self-treat, be mindful. There's chronic fatigue, as I was talking about earlier, and physiologic fatigue and secondary fatigue. So, at least those three. Most people are experiencing a lot of physiologic fatigue that's caused by some imbalance relative to diet and lifestyle. That can end up being chronic, by the way. Secondary fatigue is something that's associated with it, comes about because of a medical condition. My guest is Dominique Ostrander with Jar of Formulas. So that awesome foursome, I wanted to explain. I didn't want to get into it. I didn't have enough time. About CoQ10, Dominique, Gary was asking, are these all minerals or amino acids? And the answer is no. CoQ10, which is also known as ubiquinone, ubiquinone, also masquerades as coenzyme Q, sometimes coenzyme Q10 it's called. It is a coenzyme that is indeed ubiquitous in animals and most bacteria, hence the name ubiquinone. For the chemists out there, it's 1,4-benzoquinone, where the Q refers to the quinone chemical group and the 10 refers to the number of isoprenyl chemical subunits found in the tail of the chemical compound, or the chemical. So there you have it for the chemists. We'll satisfy them too. But you have ubiquinol, which is that. Which one is more bioavailable, ubiquinone or ubiquinol?
Ubiquinol.
Yeah.
Ending in OL.
Mm-hmm. And you have that, of course, Jar of Formulas they've made a big reputation for themselves with their CoQ10 line. They have ubiquinone and ubiquinol, so they have them both sold in fine health stores throughout the U.S. That awesome foursome is it's good for cardiac health, but ribose, L-carnitine, magnesium, and CoQ10. Then Dr. Sinatra gives an update on L-carnitine, is a big fan of GPLC, glycerol propionyl L-carnitine, which is my favorite. I take all four of those, by the way. Awesome foursome.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. Definitely for ATP production, for cellular energy. Anybody that's looking for that caffeine boost type of energy this isn't for them.
Why do people have it in?
It's not the thermogenic.
It's not a thermogenic. Why do people have it in their head that to boost their energy, they want to take protein? I wouldn't recommend that.
Really? Take protein?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe they're thinking because of if they're having a diet high in carbohydrates or refined sugars or something versus protein, that they'll have blood sugar dips, highs and lows.
I don't know, but I've heard people say that. Oh, I have low energy, so I'm taking protein. I said, really? How about if you take some complex carbohydrates? How about that?
Right, and I agree with you. I think I would guess that it's based on blood sugar fluctuations, and it just...
No, I think oftentimes it's just based on misinformation and they don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, absolutely, because people are saying, you need... How many times... I wish I can count how many times a week I hear, you need more protein come out of somebody's mouth. You need more protein. Okay.
Elimination of carbohydrate from the diet is not a good idea. I mean, there's this, I don't know if there is some annual meeting, some conspiracy to ban carbohydrate from the world nutritional stage. I don't know what's going on, but people are doing these crazy things with not eating carbohydrate. Sweet potatoes, I love baked sweet. By the way, you can eat them raw too, you know. Have you ever eaten a raw sweet potato?
No, I have not.
cut off the skin.
Okay.
And then cut it into cubes or whatever. It tastes almost like a carrot. You've never tried that?
No, because I was always under the impression that potatoes, when they weren't cooked, could actually be kind of dangerous.
Well, what do you think is going to happen if you eat a raw sweet potato? Your hair is going to fall
I don't know.
out?
I don't know if it's a listeria. I don't know if it's a certain bacteria that's associated. I just thought like undercooked potatoes, especially a white potato, could actually be kind of dangerous.
I wouldn't eat a white potato, but let's see. Raw foodist. Is there a raw foodist out there eating sweet potatoes? Anybody out there doing that? I did some the other night.
Really?
I did. I took a raw sweet potato. I peeled the skin off, and then I cleaned it, washed it, of course, and then I tried it. It tasted like carrots.
And I could see that it would be good. The taste doesn't seem unappealing. It just, I don't know. Like I said, I always associated it with some sort of like health risk. Not a serious health risk, obviously, but just some sort of...
It may be hard to digest for some people. Now, raw foodists, they keep insisting that's... What do you make of that approach? They say if you want energy, go raw.
I believe that there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I'm a firm believer in food in its most natural state, number one. I've always felt that way. I always believe that I'm not much of a sauce, gravy, dressing person. We've talked about this on the air for thousands of times. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store because you'll find foods in their most natural state versus the more internal aisles. And that's because things are not processed. And anytime something goes through processing, you get further and further away from the original.
Mm-hmm. Now, there might be some foods that you don't want to eat raw, right? That could happen.
Yeah.
They can be hard to digest for some people, but they tasted pretty good to me. I put it, and then last night when I made my salad, I took a half a raw sweet potato and I cleaned it up, peeled the skin and sliced it up and put some in my salad. Tasted good. I'm still here today.
Digestive tract is still intact, which is good.
Yeah. As a matter of fact. Yeah. I don't know. I'm surprised raw foodists don't call into the show. Maybe they think I wouldn't be tolerant of that. I am. I'm open-minded. I would love to hear from somebody who's on a raw food diet. I know that they're out there. I know they listen and watch the show. I know they do. Okay, I'm just saying.
And they have raw food restaurants in big cities, like New York and Los Angeles. I know that they have, and they're quite gourmet, actually.
Absolutely. Come back. We'll have the LTN health question of the day.
Are your joints feeling out of date and stiff? Is that old sports injury flaring up? Is your body aching from the daily wear and tear at work? Body Vigor's Joint Ready keeps you at the ready for any joint pain that gets out of line. Unfortunately, as we age, joint pain becomes more common. Body Vigor's Joint Ready can help provide relief so you can continue to go about your day. Our formula contains sulfated forms of glucosamine and chondroitin. Studies show that these sulfated forms are more effective than regular glucosamine bound to hydrochloride. Joint Ready promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates cartilage synthesis, and provides additional antioxidants. Keep your joints at the ready with Body Vigor's Joint Ready, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN health question of the day. It's been talking about tired all the time, that syndrome. It's connected to chronic fatigue syndrome, TATT. It's a real syndrome. It's in the literature, talked about, discussed, described, explained, like we've been doing on the show today. There are different kinds of fatigue. Here's the question. Which of the following types of fatigue is associated with a medical condition? A, secondary fatigue, B, physiologic fatigue, or C, chronic fatigue? Which one is typically associated with a secondary, with a medical condition? A, secondary fatigue, B, physiologic fatigue, or C, chronic fatigue? If you have the right answer, you'll win a $25 supplement gift card. Can't talk today. $25 supplement gift card. My tongue's in the way of my mouth. To Vitamin Discount Center. Here's the number.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Or anywhere to sound of my voice at 813-636-8255.
What about a greens product, Dominique? Do you think a greens product that would be constituted with, of course, carbohydrate, because there's fruits and vegetables in each greens product, do you think that would be a good energy booster?
I think so. I mean, you have to. I think it becomes an overall approach, meaning like if somebody's going to be taking a greens product, hopefully they're going to then be implementing better dietary choices, better lifestyle choices, because they're obviously having a conscious awareness of low energy. I think I'm going to add in greens. So it's not just going to be, I'm going to make all these really crappy choices, but I'm taking my greens product.
Well, some people don't like to eat vegetables. What are they supposed to do? Eat the bahia grass in the yard? I mean,
Right. I don't think that there's really, I mean, okay, as far as the nutrient denseness that's available in a greens product like Jarred Formulas Green Defense, for example, that's great. You're going to get a lot of those benefits. But there's also, as you and I know, that there's a lot of benefits from eating the actual vegetables. Just like when we talked about Brocomax. You know, as much as you get a sulforaphane content from our Brocomax with the myrosinase enzyme, you don't have the fiber. So, you know, there's a lot of benefits to eating the actual vegetable. Can you supplement? For sure. Absolutely. Can you get the nutrients out of a supplement if your diet is really poor? Definitely. But to then make continued poor dietary choices, I don't think is wise. I think you're looking for that magic pill. That's my point.
Yeah, magic. Magic is for magicians. What here's the LTN health question of the day. Which of the following is associated with a medical condition? Secondary fatigue, physiological fatigue, or chronic fatigue? Okay. Which one of those? Right answer, you get a $25 supplement gift card to VDC, Vitamin Discount Center. Which of those types of fatigue is associated with a medical condition? Secondary fatigue, physiologic fatigue, or chronic fatigue? Generally speaking. Have you ever tried a raw food diet?
No.
I'm surprised. I thought you would sign. I thought you'd sign up for that.
No, I have not.
Do you know anybody who is a raw foodist?
No, I don't.
I'm shocked. I don't know what to make of it. I wish callers, people listening and watching the show who are raw foodists would call in more and share more and try to educate about eating a raw food diet. I know we have them. I know they're out there. I know it.
Oh, definitely.
There's a book, one book I would be even interested in. That's called The Raw Food Primer by Suzanne Ferrara. It's on Amazon. I have not read that book. It's called The Raw Food Primer. It is true that certain foods, when you cook them, like some of the foods that have like beta carotene in them, carrots, the argument is made that when you cook them, you get more of the antioxidants from the food. But then the raw foodists say, but you kill the enzymes. When right? Like the other day when we were talking about cruciferous vegetables, when you cook broccoli, cauliflower, and whatnot, especially the broccoli, you kill the enzyme, myrosinase, it gets destroyed, and your body can't make sulforaphane. The sulforaphane is the compound that you really want from that broccoli because it's so anti-cancer in its nature. But when you cook the broccoli, steam it, boil it, even microwave it, you destroy that enzyme. So, what do you do? What's a person to do? You know what I'm saying? You see how confusing it is?
It's very, it's one of those situations where you kind of just go, well, can we do things in moderation? I mean, I just remember my mom always saying to me that was the key to everything, in moderation. I mean, obviously not drugs. We're not talking about anything like that. But we're talking about normal lifestyle choices, food choices, because even exercise too much is not good for you. If you just keep this sort of, I'm going to keep everything in balance. So I don't know how healthy a raw food diet would be for the majority of people. I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
I don't know enough about it either. I'm trying to learn more. By the way, Dr. Michael Greger wrote an article entitled Moderation Kills.
Ouch. What was his perspective?
Well, for example, if you have somebody who has cardiac disease, coronary artery disease, they got more plaque in their arteries than they have sense. He would argue they have no business practicing moderation and eating certain foods. They need to avoid.
And I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly.
You see what I'm saying?
I should preface that by saying in the absence of...
Yes. Caldwell Esselstyn will say the same thing. Moderation can kill for some people. Yeah. See how complicated no winners today, no takers. That's strange. The answer was the secondary fatigue is secondary to a medical condition. That's rare that we'd stump anybody. Have a wonderful weekend, Miss Ostrander. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Thank you for tuning in. We love you for doing that. Your health is your wealth.
Have you discovered that your